It's the 7th of October 2024. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight for the Newsfirst team, I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara, and here are your headlines for tonight.
The World Bank provides $200 million for economic reform. Asian Development Bank also extends its support to help the country recover. Former State Intelligence Chief Nilantha Jayawardena apologizes for delay in compensation. Former MPs asked to return firearms. Dinesh Gunawardena's MEP also adopts the gas cylinder symbol, which is now associated with the new Democratic Front. Colombo records over 162 millimeters of rainfall. Landslide warnings issued for Galle, Madara, Kegalle and Kalutara. Maldivian president seeks India's support to overcome the economic crisis. Sanat Jayasuriya appointed as head coach of Sri Lanka cricket.
In tonight's top story, the World Bank signed an additional $200 million to support Sri Lanka's economic reforms.
The World Bank and the government of Sri Lanka signed the second Resilience, Stability and Economic Turnaround Development Policy Operation for $200 million. This is the second operation in a two-part series that began in 2022. The first operation, totaling $500 million, was disbursed in June and December 2023. The second Reset DPO aims to support reforms that improve economic governance, enhance growth and competitiveness, and protect the poor and vulnerable, helping to build Sri Lanka's resilience and fostering an equitable economy. The operation focuses on improving economic governance to create a stable macroeconomic environment and restore investor confidence through key reforms. These include enacting a new Public Debt Management Act to better inform borrowing decisions, implementing tax administration reforms to boost revenues, and addressing financial sector risk by tightening single borrower limits and improving mechanisms for resolving non-performing loans. To improve living standards and boost private sector development, the operation includes amendments to the Telecommunications Act and a new Electricity Act to improve services in these markets, as well as measures to enhance export competitiveness by phasing out para-tariffs and lowering customs duties.
The Asian Development Bank has committed to enhancing Sri Lanka's tourism and energy infrastructure.
Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara met with Takafumi Kadono, the permanent representative of the Asian Development Bank in Sri Lanka today at the Presidential Secretariat. The President had learned that the ADB has agreed to provide financing for the development of Sri Lanka's tourism, energy and small-scale enterprise sectors. Takafumi Kadono emphasized that all existing agreements will continue to be implemented as planned to support the economic development of Sri Lanka. The ADB also committed to providing the necessary resources to enhance the tourism sector and improve its infrastructure. Kadono expressed his agreement for a request to support for developing the tourism industry in the northern region. Additionally, the ADB indicated its willingness to offer financial assistance for the development of energy projects, small-scale entrepreneurs and the financial sector in Sri Lanka.
Former Chief of State Intelligence Nilantha Jayawardena personally apologized to the Supreme Court today. He apologized for failing to pay the compensation ordered in connection with the Easter Sunday terror attacks by the stipulated deadline.
The fundamental rights petitions related to the Easter Sunday attacks, which were previously filed for failing to act on prior intelligence, were heard before a 7-judge bench led by Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya. The Supreme Court had previously ruled that former President Maithripala Sirisena, former IGP Pujith Jayasundara, former State Intelligence Service Director Nilantha Jayawardena, former Defence Secretary Haman Fernando and former National Intelligence Chief Sisira Mendis had violated the fundamental rights of the public by not preventing the attacks despite having prior intelligence. They were ordered to pay compensation to the victims. While former President Maithripala Sirisena, former IGP Pujith Jayasundara, former Defence Secretary Haman Fernando and former National Intelligence Chief Sisira Mendis had completed their payments, Nilantha Jayawardena had failed to pay the full amount by the deadline, leading to contempt of court charges filed by the Attorney General. During today's hearing, President's Counsel Chandaka Jayasundara, representing Jayawardena, informed the court that his client had now paid the remaining 65 million rupees of the total 75 million rupee compensation. He explained that Jayawardena's university and school friends had helped raise the remaining funds, which were paid to the relevant office via bank transfer today. Given that Jayawardena had complied with the court order and paid the full compensation, his counsel requested that the contempt of court proceedings be dismissed. The bench adjourned the session until 1:30 p.m. to deliberate on the matter. When the session resumed, President's Counsel Chandaka Jayasundara reiterated that his client regretted the delay in payment and had now fulfilled the court's order. Nilantha Jayawardena, who was present in court, also expressed his regret and apologized for the delay in open court. The petitions are scheduled to be heard again on the 18th of November.
Kanishka Vijayaratne, the Director General of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, has submitted his resignation letter to President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, according to President's Counsel Udita Igalaheva, who represented him in the Supreme Court today. This announcement was made during the hearing of petitions filed by journalist Ruvini Fonseca and Transparency International Sri Lanka, challenging Vijayaratne's appointment.
The petitions were heard before the Supreme Court bench comprising Justices Preeti Padmasurasena, Janak De Silva and Kumudani Wickramasinghe. The respondents in the petitions include the Director General of CIABOC and several others. The petitioners argued that Vijayaratne's appointment was illegal and unconstitutional and sought its annulment. During the hearing, President's Counsel Udita Igalaheva stated that his client Kanishka Vijayaratne had submitted his resignation letter to the President as he wished to return to judicial service. The petitioners' counsel argued that the appointment violated the fundamental rights of their clients and the public. After considering the arguments from both sides, the court granted permission to proceed with the examination of the petition. President's counsel Viran Kure and Sali Piris appeared on behalf of the petitioners, while Additional Solicitor General President's counsel Viraj Dayaratne represented the Attorney General.
The the director of the National Institute of Education in Maharaja and a school teacher who were remanded on charges of leaking scholarship exam questions to unauthorized individuals were presented in court today and subsequently remanded until the 22nd. This order was made by Kaduwela Magistrate Chandima Vijay Pandara.
The 58-year-old Director of Planning and Operations at the National Institute of Education, who resides in Thittawalla, Kurunagala, is a member of the committee responsible for preparing the Grade 5 scholarship exam. The other suspect is a 49-year-old school teacher from Tulhiriya Alawa, who also conducts private tuition classes for the scholarship exam. Further investigations are ongoing, and the computers and mobile phones used by the tuition teacher to distribute the exam questions are still being examined. Lawyers representing the aggrieved parties argued that granting bail to the suspects could hinder the investigation and cause public unrest.
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් සාක්ෂි සටහන් කිරීම සිදු කරනවා දිවෙන පුරාම ඒ වගේම මේ ඩිවයිස් එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ පරිගණක මේ ආදී දේවල් දෙවෙනි විත්තිකරු විසින් මේ ප්‍රශ්න නිර්මාණය කරපු පරිගණක වගේවත් අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ බාරයට අරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ සියලු පරීක්ෂණ පැවැත්වීම හේතුවෙන් තමයි ඉදිරි දින දක්වා රක්ෂිත බන්ධනාගාරගත කිරීමක් කළේ.
The Ministry of Defence has reiterated its call for civilians to return all firearms and ammunition by 4 p.m. on the 6th of November.
The Ministry of Defence has instructed that firearms issued to members of Parliament for personal security, including repeater firearms, must be returned. It was noted that a total of 1,690 firearms had been issued over the time for the protection of 1,500 individuals. Moving forward, firearms will only be issued based on intelligence reports.
It is important to understand that this recall does not apply to firearms issued for sports activities or agricultural protection. Specifically, the notice pertains only to firearms issued for personal security. The Ministry of Defence has decided to recall these firearms for review. The police have issued a notice urging the public to report to the Acting Inspector General of Police if they do not receive a response within 2 weeks of submitting a complaint. Complaints can be submitted through the website www.telligp.police.lk. Acting Inspector General of Police Priyanthavira Surya has issued a directive to resolve all pending and unexamined complaints at police stations within 2 weeks. SDIGs and other high-ranking officers have been instructed to implement a special plan to expedite this process. The directive highlights that a significant number of complaints remain unexamined or unresolved, which could lead to minor incidents escalating into serious crimes and eroding public trust in the police. Acting IGP Veera Surya further instructed that moving forward, police station chiefs or OICs must begin investigating complaints on the day they are reported and complete the investigations within 48 hours. Compliance with these instructions will be monitored by relevant state officials, and any station chiefs failing to adhere to these directives will be reported to the acting IGP.
අප මහජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටින්නේ ඔබට පැමිණිලි විභාග කිරීම සඳහා පොලිස් ස්ථානවලින් පණිවිඩ ලැබෙයි.
We request the public to respond promptly to messages from police stations regarding the examination of complaints. It is important to attend these appointments as scheduled to avoid delays in processing your complaints. As you know, the Public Assistance Day initiated by the IGP has not been held regularly in recent times. Therefore, we are resuming Public Assistance Day on the upcoming 11th.
සහන දිනය ආරම්භ වෙනවා ඉදිරි 11 වන දින.
Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Ruwan Wijewardena, addressed the various statements that are being made about former President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔක්තෝබර් 6 වෙනිදා ඊයේ නියෝජ්‍ය පොලිස්පතිතුමා වැඩ බලන
There is news on social media that acting IGP had ordered on the 6th of October for Ranil Wickremesinghe's security detail to immediately report back to their respective police divisions. However, I must make it clear that his security detail has not been recalled. Even the acting IGP himself cleared up these rumors. I believe these rumors have been spread by certain parties that are close to the government to instill hatred towards the former president in the people. We do not condone this. We also saw videos of a kitchen in a foreign country being shared as one in the president's house. I think the intelligent people in this country would immediately understand that this kitchen is not a Sri Lankan one. This had been shown on social media as a kitchen used by the president. Neither the president nor the first lady at any point had any plans on using a kitchen as luxurious as that or enjoy the service of foreign chefs. They have never done that.
කරන්ටවත් එහෙම අදහසක් තිබෙත් නැහැ එවැනි දෙයක් කරලත් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, the police spokesman, DIG attorney Nihal Talduwa, also spoke on the former president's security detail at a media briefing held today.
කිසිසේත්ම හිටපු ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ඒ ආරක්ෂාවට සිටි නිලධාරීන් ඉවත් කිරීමක් සිදු කළා නැහැ.
The former president's security detail has not been removed. The 50 STF officers and others who were in service are still there. However, up until very recently, it was the Presidential Security Division, or the PSD, that was in charge of security of the incumbent president and former president. There was only a change of officers, as the security detail for the incumbent president and the former president operates separately. The ex-PSD operates as ex-PSD 1, ex-PSD 2, and so on. This former president's security is being taken care of by ex-PSD 8, as he was the 8th executive president of the country. Therefore, we need to establish a new security division for him. Once this division is established, the number of officials will be determined by a committee of the Ministry of Public Security under the leadership of the Ministry Secretary. After the committee makes its decision, we will give the former president the decided number of security personnel.
ගරු හිටපු ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ආරක්ෂාව සඳහා ලබා දීමට අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු සිදු කරනවා.
Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides.
Nominations for the 2024 parliamentary elections are currently being signed and submitted. The deadline for submitting nominations is noon on Friday.
Today, a group of candidates from the National People's Power Party signed their nominations at the Gampaha District main office. Minister Vijitha Herath, who is contesting as the Gampaha District team leader, was joined by National Executive Committee members Mahinda Jayasinghe and Dr. Ashoka Ranwala, among others. The Gampaha District will elect 19 members to Parliament and each party must submit 22 candidates for the district.
ජනාධිපතිවරණ ප්‍රතිඵල අනුවම අපිට මන්ත්‍රී ධුර 12ක් තිබෙනවා. ඉතින් අපේ උත්සාහය තමයි එය තවදුරටත් ඉදිරියට ගෙන යමින් 19න් උපරිම මන්ත්‍රීවරු පිරිසක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව නියෝජනය කරන එක.
අපි දැක්ක පහුගිය දවස්වල සමාජ මාධ්‍යවල රංජන් රාමනායක යම් ගම්පහින් මාලිමාවෙන් එනවා කියන ප්‍රචාරයක් යවුණා. දැන් අපි දැක්ක එහෙම නමක් මේකේ නෑ. ඇයි?
ඇත්තම මෙහෙමයි. එහෙම යෝජනාවක් අපිට ඇවිල්ලා නෑ. ඉතින් මාධ්‍ය ඇතුලේ විවිධ යෝජනා කළාට, මාධ්‍ය ඇතුලේ විවිධ ප්‍රචාර කළාට ඒව නාම යෝජනා ලයිස්ට් වලට ඇතුළත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඇත්තටම අපේ දිස්ත්‍රික්කේ නාම යෝජනා ලයිස්ට් සකස් කරද්දී එවැනි නමක් හෝ වෙනත් ඔය කියන නම් කිසිවක් සඳහන් වුණේ නැහැ. අපි විශාල කණ්ඩායමකින් තමයි මේ 22 තෝරාගෙන තියෙන්නේ. ඒ විශාල කණ්ඩායම ඇතුළට අතරම ගත්තොත් 60-70ක කණ්ඩායමක් හිටියා. ඒ අතරට රංජන්ගේ නම හෝ වෙනත් කිසිම නමක් යෝජනා වුණේ නැහැ.
R.K. Indrananda De Silva, the Polonnaruwa district team leader for the People's Struggle Movement, deposited his cash bonds today.
අපි පැහැදිලිව කියනවා ජනාරගල සන්දානෙන් මේ මැතිවරණයේදී පොළොන්නරු දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ නාමජනා දීපු සියලුම දෙනා පසුගිය ගෝල්පේස් තරගලේ සක්‍රීය නායකත්වයක් දීපු අය.
The nomination signing for candidates from the Janasatha Peramuna for the upcoming parliamentary elections took place today at the party headquarters. Independent group number 1 candidates contesting in the Gampaha district also deposited their bonds today. The gas cylinder symbol has been given to the New Democratic Front to contest the upcoming general election. Former Minister Ramesh Patirana, addressing a media briefing today, announced that the New Democratic Front will contest the election under the leadership of Dinesh Gunawardena and Ranil Wickramasinghe.
පොදුජන එක්සත් නිදහස් සන්ධානයේ හැටියට අපි සන්ධානයක් පිටවලා තිබෙනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් 60කට ආසන්න පිරිසකගේ සහභාගීත්වයෙන් එම පොදුජන එක්සත් නිදහස් සන්ධානය එළඹෙන පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණය සඳහා සන්ධානගත වී තරඟ කිරීමට තීන්දුවක් ගෙන තිබෙනවා. ඒ අපි සන්ධානගත වෙන්නේ නව ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී පෙරමුණ සමග එම පෙරමුණ ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරය සලකුණු යටතේ තරඟ කරනවා. ඒතකොට අපි පොදුජන එක්සත් නිදහස් සන්ධානයත් ඒ වගේම ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය, පොදුජන එක්සත් පෙරමුණ, මහජන එක්සත් පෙරමුණ, එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය ඇතුළු පක්ෂ ගණනාවක් එම නව ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී පෙරමුණ සමග සන්ධානගත වෙලා ඊළඟ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණයේදී 2024 පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණයේදී තරඟ කිරීමට තීන්දුවක් ගෙන තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම අපි එම සන්ධානයේ කටයුතු වෙනුවෙන් හිටපු ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමාත්, ඒ වගේම හිටපු අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මැතිතුමාත් අපිට නායකත්වය ලබා දුන මැතිවරණ සටන මෙහෙවන්නට
දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මහත්මයාගේ නායකත්වයෙන් තරඟ කරන්න ඔබතුමාලා තීරණය කරාට දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මහත්මයා ගිහිල්ලා පොදුජන පෙරමුණත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡාවක් කරලා දිනනවා නේද?
අපිට නිල වශයෙන් වාර්තා වුණේ නැහැ. ඉතින් දේශපාලන නායකයන් විවිධ පක්ෂ කණ්ඩායම් සමග සාකච්ඡා කිරීම සාමාන්‍ය සම්ප්‍රදායක් සිරිතක්. හැබැයි එතුමා අද උදේත් අපිට වාර්තා කරේ පැහැදිලිවම මේ අපේ නව ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී සන්ධාන පෙරමුණ සමග ඇතිවෙන සන්ධානයට එතුමාත් එකතු වෙලා අපත් සමග මේ දේශපාලන ව්‍යාපාරය ඉදිරියට ගෙන යන බවට එතුමා අද උදේත් ප්‍රකාශ කළ නිසා මම හිතන්නේ ඔබතුමාගේ වාර්තාවල සත්‍යයක් ඇතේ කියලා.
ඔබතුමාලගේ මේ සන්ධානය තුළ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාත් ඔබලට සහයෝගය දෙනවද නැත්නම් එතුමා දේශපාලනයෙන් එතුමාත් ඉවත් වෙලාද?
නෑ එතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී දුරට තරඟ නොකරන බව තමයි වාර්තා කරලා තිබෙනවා. හැබැයි එතුමා අපේ දේශපාලන වැඩසටහන් වලට ගරු අගමැතිතුමන් සමග දේශපාලන සහයෝගය සහ ශක්තිය ලබා දෙයි.
General Secretary of the SLPP Attorney at Law Sagra Karyawasan convened a media briefing this morning.
අර වෙනද මේ පක්ෂයේ තිබිච්ච ශාස්ත්‍රීය චරිත තියෙනවනේ පොඩ්ඩක් එන්නේ. මේ පක්ෂ පොඩ්ඩක් උඩින් තියපු චරිත ඒ පට්ටිය පෙඩ්ඩක් පේන්නේ නැහැ. මොකෝ වෙන්නේ එහෙම?
එහෙම ශාස්ත්‍රීය චරිත කියලා අපේ පක්ෂේ චරිත තිබුණේ නැහැ. අපේ පක්ෂේ
There were no such characters. Mahinda Rajapaksa was our party leader right throughout. Our party founder Basil Rajapaksa continued to engage in politics with us. We will be moving forward with everyone who has accepted our policies and will strengthen our party.
අපිත් සමග ඒ පක්ෂයේ ඉදිරි ගමන යන්නේ ශක්තිමත් සහයෝගය දෙන්නු ඒ සියලු දෙනා සමග අපි ඉදිරියට යනවා.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා මේ ගමන මැතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවද?
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා මේ වර මැතිවරණයේ ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවද නැද්ද කියන කාරණේ එතුමා විසින්
He will make that decision within the next few days. However, when considering all the politicians in the country, he is the one who has rendered the most service. He ended the civil war that was raging in the country for 3 decades. In addition to that, he also developed the country in a massive scale.
සංකර විතරක් නෙමෙයි එතුමා මේ රටට මහා සංවර්ධනයක් ගෙනාවා.
පසුගිය දිනවල බොහෝ වෙලාවක කතා බහට ලක් වුණා නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා මොන දිස්ත්‍රික්කයෙන්ද තරඟ කරන්න කියන කාරණාව. එහෙම තීන්දුවක් තීරණයක් අරගෙන තියෙනවද පක්ෂයක් විදියට?
එයත් ඉදිරි කාලයේදී මේ වත්මන් නාම යෝජනා ලයිස්තු
He too is yet to consider the nominations list, study it and decide on how he will be facing the election.
කොයි ආකාරයටද ඉදිරි මැතිවරණයට මුහුණ දෙන්න කියන කාරණය.
දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මහත්මයාලත් එක්ක තිබුණු සාකච්ඡා කොහොමද අලුත්ම තත්ත්වය?
දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මැතිතුමන්ලා සමග පක්ෂ දෙක හැටියට අපි දෙගොල්ලෝ අතර තියෙන්නේ.
As two parties, the SLPP and Dinesh Gunawardana's party have a very healthy connection. However, his party worked with several other parties. I believe due to that, he must be having a certain amount of loyalty towards those parties as well. We are continuing our discussions with them. We have no clash whatsoever, policy-wise. We are in agreement for the most part. However, there are several reasons that have compelled us to continue talks between the two parties.
පෙරමුණ සමග ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය වශයෙන් සහ අනිත් සෑම අතින්ම අපි පරස්පරයක් නැහැ. අපි සෑහෙන දුරට එකඟතාවයක ඉන්නවා. නමුත් වෙනත් කරුණු කිහිපයක් මත යම්කිසි තවදුරටත් සාකච්ඡා කළ යුතු තත්ත්වයක් උද්ගත වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Former Member of Parliament Harsana Rajakaruna of the Samiki Jana Balawegya stated that the inclusion of wrong individuals in the alliance contributed to their defeat in the presidential election.
There has been a lot of discussion in society about certain individuals. It is believed that their inclusion was a major reason for our defeat. As a party, we are committed to correcting those issues when finalizing nominations in the future. We have strong confidence in this process. Clearly, we had some shortcomings and I acknowledge that. As I mentioned earlier, the inclusion of unsuitable individuals was one factor. Additionally, there were some wrong decisions made. The upcoming parliamentary election provides an opportunity to rectify these mistakes.
ඒ වගේ යම් වැරදි තීන්දුව අරගන්න තිබ්බා. අරගෙන තියෙන්න තිබ්බා. එතකොට ඒ වැරදි නිවැරදි කරගන්න අවස්ථාවක් තමයි මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණය.
Former Member of Parliament and leader of the Tamil Progressive Alliance, Mano Ganesan said his party will contest the upcoming election under the Samiki Jana Sandhanaya.
As the Tamil Progressive Alliance, we will be contesting in several districts under the SJB's telephone symbol. These districts include Gampaha, Colombo and Kalutara in the Western Province, Kegol and Ratnapura in the Sabaragamu Province, Kandy and Nuwara in the Central Province, and Badulla in the Uva Province. We are currently in discussions regarding a few other districts as well. Within the alliance, we have the Samaki Jana Balawegya, the Tamil Progressive Alliance, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, the All Ceylon Makkal Congress and several other parties working together. Energy, particularly fuel and electricity, is like the heart of a country.
Remember in 2022 when people took to the streets in protest, one of the main reasons was the energy crisis. Now what happened to the country? Today, let's take a moment to reflect on what was done regarding electricity.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
On the 10th of January 2022, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka authorized power cuts for a few hours each day. Initially, the cuts lasted 2 hours, but as they extended to 10 to 12 hours, public protests intensified. This highlighted the critical importance of electricity. The reason given for the nationwide power cuts was that the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation had stopped supplying fuel to the Ceylon Electricity Board, citing an outstanding payment of 91 billion rupees. The solution was to cut the supply of electricity.
What really happened to our electricity supply?
Compared to other countries, Sri Lanka's electricity demand is relatively small. According to CEB data, the peak demand last night was 2,242 megawatts. Even at maximum capacity, we would need just over 2,500 megawatts. Last night, thermal power accounted for the majority of electricity production with 999 megawatts of the 2,242.2 megawatts supplied by thermal power plants. Due to the current water levels, hydropower contributed slightly less than 1,200 megawatts. As water levels decrease, reliance on thermal power increases. Last night, the largest share of electricity supply came from the Norachole coal power plant, which provided 540 megawatts or 24.1% of the total supply. This reliance on Norachole increases as hydropower decreases. Norachole alone has 900 megawatts and more than 650 megawatts are added to the national grid. In short, the majority of Sri Lanka's electricity supply depends on the Norachole coal power plant. Norachole, opened on the 22nd of March 2011, was built by China without a competitive tender process. Since its opening, it has broken down more than 20 times. Notably, nationwide power outages occurred on the 17th of August 2020, 3rd of December 2021, 9th of December 2023, often linked to issues at Norachole. Again, this alone shows that the majority of Sri Lanka's electricity supply depends on the Norachole coal power plant. A successful electricity supply system typically involves a mix of energy sources, including hydro, fuel, coal, nuclear, wind and solar power. However, our approach has been different. In 2016, a tender was called to build a 300 megawatt liquefied natural gas or LNG power plant in Kerawalapitiya. Initially, the tender sought an international supplier to provide LNG and construct the plant. Later, the decision was changed to have the CPC supply LNG, leading to complications and delays. Eventually, the tender was awarded to a company in which the CEB holds a majority stake. Despite opening part of the plant recently, it is not running on LNG. Previous attempts to build LNG plants in Kerawalapitiya also failed to use LNG. LNG is cheaper and more environmentally friendly than diesel or naphtha. Remember that when the tender was called for, it was said that the CPC will supply the LNG. So, what happened? In July 2021, a contract was signed with New Fortress Energy to supply LNG, bypassing the tender process. This was even dubbed the Midnight Energy Deal. New Fortress Energy was granted the contract to supply LNG for a power plant with a minimum capacity of 1,000 megawatts. However, there were significant issues regarding the pricing. Despite the agreement, it was never implemented. Following public protests, a new administration took office. In the final moments of the previous government, on the 20th of August, another LNG supply agreement was signed with a different company. What are the terms of this new agreement? How will the deal be implemented? The public remains unaware. Similarly, the New Fortress agreement did not come to fruition. Despite various agreements, the power plants are still running on diesel or naphtha. There are many more issues to address. Renewable energy projects such as wind and solar offer cost-effective electricity. However, past decisions have led to higher costs. For example, a wind power project in Mana was set to purchase electricity at $0.0826 per unit, despite a tender offering $0.0488 per unit. The deal has not yet reached a final agreement. If it is approved, we will end up paying higher prices for electricity for many years. The same issue arose with the Punakari solar power plant, where it was alleged in Parliament that a contract was being prepared to purchase electricity at $0.15 per unit for 9 years. These are some of the issues we have faced recently. Another significant issue is emergency power purchases. When Norachole breaks down or water levels in reservoirs drop, the government resorts to buying electricity from private power plants to ensure a continuous supply. These emergency purchases can be very costly, sometimes up to 120 rupees per unit. Some of these private power plants could be acquired by the CEB if necessary. What has been the result of all these actions? Our electricity supply policy aims for minimal costs. However, are we currently receiving electricity at minimal cost? Instead, following IMF agreements, electricity prices were increased by 66% on the 15th of February 2022 to align with costs. It was stated that prices would be adjusted 4 times a year to match costs. Charging a fair price that reflects the cost is not an issue. The problem arises when the public has to bear the burden of inefficient or corrupt deals that benefit only a few. You need not look far. Reading the Hansard reports from Parliament will provide more details. Some of these deals have even reached the courts. These issues need immediate investigation and resolution. The public remains vigilant.
What happened to Sri Lanka? Newsfirst with the people.
The Department of Meteorology says that the prevailing rainy condition will intensify from tomorrow onwards. The department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at most places in the island during the afternoon or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabragamur, central, Uva and eastern provinces and in the Gaul, Mathara and Puttlam districts.
A landslide warning was issued covering divisional secretariat divisions of the Gaul, Kalutara, K-Gaul and Mathara districts. The National Building Research Organisation says that the general public should be vigilant about potential earth slips. Many roads in the Colombo city were inundated this morning, heavily inconveniencing pedestrians and motorists. The entrance to the Chandrika Kumaratungamawatha near the Mulleriyawa Ambatare junction was inundated this morning. This disrupted vehicular movement along the road. The Maharaja Piliandala main road was flooded this morning near Arawala. Our Newsfirst correspondent said that Gaul, Baddegama and surrounding areas experienced heavy rainfall today. Kattuwa, Periyamulla, Theniyawatta, Rubberwatta, Gomezwatta and other lowlands in Negombo were also inundated. The inundation of the Ratnapura Panadura main road near Kulapana disrupted vehicular movement in the area. The Kalutara public ground was also inundated due to the heavy showers that the Kalutara town experienced this morning. A strong gust of wind had uprooted a tree and damaged a nearby electricity pole in the Unit 3 village in Kantale. Our Newsfirst correspondent said that this resulted in the disruption of power supply to the area.
The Hambantota International Port has seen a 40% increase in RO transshipment between the second and third quarters.
The Hambantota International Port, or the HIP, has marked a 40% increase in Ro-Ro vehicles handled between the second and third quarters of 2024. From 125,526 units handled in the second quarter, the port went up to 175,583 Ro-Ro units handled as at the end of September, said the Hambantota International Port in a statement. It added that a contributing factor to this is the increase in shipping lines operating from HIP for transshipment, as well as a number of new ports joining the port's delivery network. Some of the new ports offloading in the portfolio include Shanghai, Ulsan, Taikang, Pyeongtaek, The Feng and Baltimore. The increase in Ro-Ro numbers, envisaged and planned 2 years ago, promoted Hambantota International Port to expand its yard space. The Hambantota International Port Group's General Manager, Commercial and Marketing, Lance Zuo, says most of their Ro-Ro cargo is transshipped to different destinations worldwide. Heads of the port has also seen a change in the types of vehicles that arrive for transshipment.
The opening of the new building of the Maharaja Institute of Management and introduction of a new master's program took place in Colombo today.
Maharaja Institute of Management is the educational arm of the Capital Maharaja Group, established with a view to providing a wide range of professional corporate trainings and academic courses coupled with practical exposure. The opening of the new building of Maharaja Institute of Management and the introduction of a new master's program took place today. Chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, Sashiraja Mahendran, and senior management of CMG were present for the event.
MIM believes in investing in the future. We are accredited by the Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission of Sri Lanka. MIM distinguishes itself through its unparalleled faculty consisting of seasoned industry experts and academics carefully selected for their expertise and commitment to student success. Plans are underway to incorporate award-winning industry experts and corporate leaders as guest lecturers for the university master course. The new courses have been designed with the future in mind. At MIM, we believe in equipping our students with the skills, knowledge, and the perspectives that will help them thrive in the rapidly changing world.
Professor Ibrahim Adia, Vice Chancellor of the University of Wolverhampton, officially launched the new Master's Program MA in Film and Television Production, as well as MSc in Digital Marketing Management.
First of all, amazingly impressive in terms of what the organisation's achieved, but also walked down the streets of nostalgia. I actually recall the majority of those brands all the way back from the 1960s and 1970s. It shows probably how old I am. And of course, towards the end, I also recognised Shah Rukh Khan as one of the people in your adverts. So that was really nice to see. So I'll end by saying, thank you very much. This is a strategically very important partnership for us. You are an amazing organisation. For us, it's an absolute privilege to be partnering with you, and I really do hope genuinely that as the partnership develops and it flourishes, we're able to look at other courses that you may wish to develop in terms of securing your own workforce. Given you're such a big organisation, I've no doubt you have all sorts of workforce needs around accountants, financing, HR people. I'm sure we can be able to supply and develop all of those for you in years to come. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
This newly renovated building includes 3 lecture halls, an auditorium, a TV studio, a computer lab, a library, a study area, and graphic, dubbing and editing rooms. Following the launch, the guests were also invited to tour the new premises.
The visit of Maldivian President Mohammad, who came to power with pro-China sentiments to India, has garnered significant global attention. During his visit to New Delhi, President Muizzu stated that the Maldives does not intend to harm India's security and considers New Delhi a valuable partner and a friend. Indian media has described the visit of Maldivian President Mohammad to India as a significant diplomatic milestone. This is President Muizzu's first visit to India since assuming office in November 2023. The Indian government extended the highest level of welcome to President Muizzu at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi warmly received him. President Mohammad and Prime Minister Narendra Modi held crucial discussions this afternoon. Top diplomats from both sides participated in the talks. During the meeting, India agreed to provide $360 million in aid and an additional $400 million in currency swap facilities to help the Maldives, which is facing a severe economic crisis. 4 related agreements were signed during the visit.
I would like to thank Prime Minister Modi, the government and people of India for the generous assistance and cooperation extended to the Maldives over the years, including the recent budgetary support in form of roll-off.
मालदीव का महत्वपूर्ण स्थान है इन दोनों में.
Development partnership is an important pillar of our relations. We have always given preference to the priorities of the people of the Maldives. SBI did a rollover of $100 million of the treasury bench of the Maldives. As per the needs of the Maldives, a $400 million and 30 billion rupees currency swap agreement was also signed.
अपने पड़ोसी होने के दायित्व को निभाया है.
It has been 1 year of what UN experts have called Israel's genocide in Gaza. 365 days of unrelenting Israeli bombardment resulting in one of the deadliest conflicts in the 21st century. This has been a war of many firsts, breaking records in scale and brutality, with more than 41,000 Palestinians killed.
Gaza, home to some 2.3 million people, bears little resemblance to what it was a year ago. Israeli attacks have reduced entire neighborhoods to rubble, erased centuries-old mosques and churches, and destroyed vital agricultural lands. The scale of destruction in this small area of just 365 square kilometers is so immense that many residents cannot return home and likely won't be able for the foreseeable future. In the past year in the Gaza Strip, Israel has bombed more than 40,000 targets, found 4,700 tunnel shafts, and destroyed 1,000 rocket launcher sites. The military said on Monday's one-year anniversary of the Hamas-led militant attacks that triggered Israel's assault on the enclave. In data to mark the October 7th anniversary, the Israeli military said it enlisted 300,000 reservists since the start of the war, 82% men and 18% women, and nearly half of them aged 20 to 29. Israel's military said 726 Israeli soldiers had been killed since the 7th of October 2023, and of those, 380 died in the 7th of October attacks and 346 in Gaza combat starting 27th of October 2023. According to the Gaza Media Office, at least 41,870 Palestinians have been killed in the last 365 days. That is 1 out of every 55 people in Gaza. 69% of the victims are children and women. That is 16,756 children and 11,346 women.
A press briefing was held today with the participation of the head coach of Sri Lanka cricket, Sanath Jayasuriya, and its CEO Ashley De Silva. Jayasuriya revealed his future game plan for Sri Lanka cricket during the event.
I
believe I can communicate with the team with ease. Since I am a Sri Lankan myself, everyone is able to speak to me freely and resolve their issues. One thing I must mention, since I am a local coach, is I don't have favorites. I have to field the best 11 for the team and the country. There is a great responsibility on my part to do so. Winning 2 matches on the South Africa tour and at least 3 on the Australia tour is the minimum. I feel the players are looking forward to achieving it. I have a brilliant support staff and a great team. We will forge a road to success and move forward.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.